Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to plant the water trough using only shrubs and perennials that prefer that shade to part shade. This is going to give us gorgeous evergreen foliage, interest, texture throughout the entire fall, into winter, and then into spring. So this will last me, here we are, the end of October. Can you believe it? End of October in North Carolina, and this will go all the way through until I am ready to transform this water trough into my summer planting. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to pop up to the what I call the sign bed, because that's where the Creekside Nursery sign is. And we are going to replace a rhododendron. I've killed this rhododendron probably 3 times. I've just said, okay, I've killed you enough times. You're not going to survive there, so we're going to replace it with a brand new, on the market, stunning evergreen shrub that is gorgeous. I cannot wait to share this shrub with you. So we're going to have 2 things on the to-do list today. It is, of course, the end of October here in North Carolina. It is a gorgeous, and I do mean gorgeous, a cool, crisp day here. It is cloudy, which I'm very happy about. You can see we have lost a lot of leaves, especially on our tulip poplars, but the foliage is turning. We've got reds and yellows and oranges, and I love it. It is a sweater weather. So Jenny is embracing the sweater weather, and it is fantastic. So what we are going to do is we are going to plant this water trough. You saw how sad. I mean, y'all, that planting that was left over from the summer, it was sad, and it was drab, and it was time to go. And so everything that was in there was annuals. The big, huge, massive vertigo grasses, y'all, trust me, I have tried many times to save them. Here in my North Carolina zone 8A, they just don't overwinter. So this was that summer planting. We always do annuals in that, so it is out. If you're not familiar with the water trough, we installed this water trough, gosh, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and it really is a livestock water trough. Jerry went to a local, I think it was Tractor Supply, and got the absolute biggest water trough that he could find that they offered. There are no drainage holes in the bottom. However, because it is a livestock water trough, in the back, it's in the center on the back, about 1 or 2 inches up, there is a drain hole. We left that open. It is filled completely with soil. When we filled this thing up, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was that we bought it, we filled it completely with soil. And so what we do every time that we empty the plants out, of course, you're naturally going to lose some soil, right? Because as much as you try to get the soil off the roots, you lose some. So we replenish. I've got lots of really good potting soil in there because when they were replacing some of the summer annuals, they added some of the Proven Winners potting soil. You can see that, right? You can see the perlite in there. It's got some pine bark in there. So nice and fluffy. There's not a lot of compacted roots. If this were full of compacted roots, then I would have pulled more out. I honestly thought that I was going to have to add more soil to this, but this is nice and fluffy and is doing great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to top it off with Land and Sea. Add that Land and Sea in there, and then mix it up really well. Incorporate it, because in this case, I don't want a lasagna effect, right? I want to mix all of that in. Doing those shrubs and perennials, y'all, they're tough. They can handle some challenging situations. This really isn't what I would call a challenging situation, but they will do great. And then, of course, we have the Biotone starter fertilizer. I will just sprinkle that down into the entire bed right here, and so everybody gets some gorgeous, delicious starter fertilizer. Now, without further ado, what plants are we going to use? Well, let me tell you again. So I have challenged myself to only use shrubs and perennials that prefer that shade to part shade condition. This is a really interesting space, because if you're familiar, in the summertime, you're like, well, Jenny, you use sun annuals. Yes, I do. But in the winter, because winter sun and summer sun are different. My winter sun, I get some morning sun, so maybe 5 hours of morning sun, and then it is in the shade. Winter sun is a lot less intense, right? We're further away from the sun, so it's not as hot and as intense. So in the winter time, I have to plant more shade-loving things. I can get away with violas and pansies, but they look really rough in late fall, winter. They only start looking good back in the spring. So I said, you know what, this time we're just going to use shrubs and perennials. The very first time I did this water trough, I tried to have tulips in it for the spring. Disaster, because they didn't get enough sun. So everything that you see here is going to be in that part shade category. They are all going to be evergreen. They are all going to give us loads of color. And when the season is done, when I come back here in the summer and I go ahead and take these out, I can put them into the landscape. While I am putting these in a container, you absolutely 100% could put this in a landscape. I'm gonna fill it up because I want to have a really pretty display here for our customers when they come by. It does make a big difference. Obviously this is in front of the barn, and so I want pops of color. What's going to give me my big pop of color is my Florida Sunshine. Y'all, this is an Alyssum and anise. This great evergreen shrub. It is an anise, and if you're familiar with anise, that means it's like in the licorice family, right? So it's got gorgeous chartreuse foliage on it that is, because it is an anise, it is deer resistant, rabbit resistant, because if you come in here and you break or you crush the leaves, it smells like licorice. They will put on little teeny, here's a little teeny yellow flower right there, but you're getting this for the foliage. You're not really getting it for the flower, you're getting it for the foliage. Stunning. I want to say this is hardy in zones 7 to 10, 7 to 9, something like that. And so love this. So I've got 2 of them that I'm going to put kind of in the back on either side. Now I believe, and my design is not completely set yet, but we are going to use a farfugium. So this is a tractor seat plant, a giant leopard plant. It's called a tractor seat plant. You will see this especially if you're familiar with Charleston, like historic Charleston. They have these everywhere because this is how an old tractor seat used to look like, right? So it would kind of be raised up in the back. This is where your legs would go over. Your little hiney would sit right here. So it looks just like an old tractor seat. So tractor seat plants are going to be hardy. Is still in that. I want to say that's 7 to 9. One of them 7 to 9, one of them 7 to 10. You know, in that range right there. So definitely kind of more of that southern plant. It will produce stalks of yellow flowers. So I've got buds right here. So it's down in there. I don't know if you can see that. And so they bloom in like late fall, early winter. So hopefully we'll get a flower off of that. Nice, pretty yellow. Your pollinators love it. This is another deer resistant option for you because I know so many times in shade gardens, people have problems with deer. That is a huge problem. So I think everything in here is going to be deer resistant, with maybe, I'm not sure about the eucharis or the tiarella. I'd have to double check on that, but we got high deer resistance going on right here. So we've got those. Now, speaking of the eucharis and the tiarellas, I have got 2 of the proven winners. This is the Primo Wild Rose. Y'all, gorgeous. Look at this purple foliage. When we're looking at a shade garden, any kind of garden, we want colors and texture differences. So we have got the beautiful chartreuse. We've got a nice dark green. Here we have purple. So Primo Wild Rose is sun to shade. Here in the south, it definitely is going to be more shade. It is going to be hardy in zones 4 to 9. And this is a nice evergreen. Now in the deep part of the winter, it might look a little rough. It's okay, they'll bounce back really early. So we've got 2 of those. And then the tiarella. This is the Fun and Games I Spy. All of these came from our friends at Walter's Gardens and Proven Winners, right? So they sent them to us. You were with me when we unloaded them. I have 2 of these I Spies in containers on the side of my garage, and y'all, they are gorgeous, beautiful mounded shape to them. But the tiarella definitely is going to be more shade, again, same hardy in zones 4 to 9, right? And so my idea is that I'm going to put the I Spy in the middle of the 2 wild roses. Now, I have 2 Carexes here. I don't know which one I'm going to use. I'm going to use one or the other. I have my ever beloved. I love this plant, y'all. Feather Falls. Now, this I'm kind of leaning towards this because of the variegated foliage, right? So Feather Falls has a nice dark center with that creamy edge on it, and it does fall. It is gorgeous, right? Massive, huge, trailing habit to it, relatively fast grower. If you know me, I have got multiple of these in my gardens. Love this plant, so I have 2 of these. My other option would be the blue zinger. Now, blue zinger, I don't have a whole lot of experience with, but it does have that blue-gray foliage to it, blue-green foliage to it, but also it seems, and I think these are probably a little pot-bound, but you can see where we've got some where it's been dried out a little bit. So, and I don't know that there's a big, huge color difference between this and, say, like the Tiarella, or what I'm definitely going to use are my autumn ferns. So I think I'm leaning more towards Feather Falls, but I just wanted to give you this option. Another great option, I didn't pull this one because I wanted to do something a little different. The Everillo grass. So Everillo Carex. Basically, it is the color of the Florida Sunshines. Stunning. I love that one too. I've got tons of it in my garden. But as I'm sitting here talking with you, I think I'm gonna go with the Feather Falls. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go with Feather Falls. And then last but certainly not least are the autumn ferns. Autumn ferns, y'all, are fantastic. If you don't have these in your shade garden, oh my word, please do. Get them. They are amazing. Great evergreen ferns. They are deer resistant. Like, look at this. This is a 1 gallon, and look how, I can't even show you the whole thing. It is massive. They do, like I said, they are evergreen. In fact, we have a little frond coming out here right now. This is Brilliance. And so Brilliance is really fun because the new foliage, the new fronds when they come out, are this gorgeous like copper red color. Your autumn ferns, evergreen. Again, now in the end of winter, they look sad. I have them again all through my shade gardens. But what happens is at the end of winter, just like your eucharis will do, that foliage that we have right now, it will start to lay down so we can make room for all of the new growth coming up. It is at that time where you can take your autumn fern and take all this current foliage and just cut it all the way off, because it's going to have rapid tons of beautiful new growth coming up. So love the autumn ferns. All right, my friends, so we have got the land and sea in. I probably shouldn't have cut all 4 bags because turns out I only needed 2, so I'll just take the other 2 and we'll use them somewhere else. But anyway, so taking the biotone and getting it in there. There was just a little bit left in that bag. That was perfect for this. And then I just take my hand and I zhuzh it around. That is a very technical horticultural term. So make sure you add that to your vocabulary and feel free to zhuzh your soil whenever it calls for it. So what we're going to do is I have this old obelisk that I have had, oh my gosh, y'all, probably like 20 plus years that I've had this. It is nice and rusted. It is very authentic, very fun, has a lot of sentimental value to me. Had it in the garden boxes. When we redid the garden boxes, I took it out. One of the poor little stands, like the feet of it broke off, so it's a 3-footed obelisk, but that's all right, it works in here. I am simply using this in this container as a structural interest piece. I am not going to have a climber on it. It is just for some interest. Now what we're going to do is that the idea is that the 2 Florida Sunshines will go on either side. Probably, well, that's all I know. That's as far as I've gotten, my friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have some fun. I'm going to leave the camera rolling. I'm going to get these planted, and I am really going to plant them. I'm taking them out of their containers, and then I am putting them directly in the soil. That way they can grow nice and happy all fall and winter and into spring. So yeah, I guess we'll find out together what this design looks like, and I'll see you back here in a minute and we'll talk about it. All right, my friends, so the water trough has been planted. It looks great. It's nice and clean. It's nice and bright. Happy, happy, happy. So let me just show you how it all turned out. Those of you that are very astute, you will notice that I did not use the Tiarella. It didn't work. And so as far as like the numbers go, and I wanted this trough to be nice and balanced, and that definitely happened here. So there you go, something fun, different. It's a great winter interest container that is going to be nice and evergreen and just gorgeous color, nice fun texture difference and colors, and you got it all right here, right? And so basically what I'm going to do is, I haven't watered it yet because I didn't want the plants to be smushed down when I was showing them to you. But I will go ahead and give this a lovely drink of water, get them nice and happy, get them in there, get that soil nice and damp, and we'll just kind of watch it. If it starts to rain on a regular basis, like is what it normally does here in the fall and winter, then really this is like hands off. We don't really have to do anything at all to it. If we go through the dry spell that we have been going with since Helene, then we will obviously give it some good drinks of water. Really probably about like once a week, because it is a shade. The temperatures are so much cooler. And so once a week would probably be all that it needs to have some water if it's not raining. But yeah, so this just kind of gives you an idea of, you know, a container and or the landscape, because like I said, you could absolutely take all of these plants and put them straight into the landscape in a shady area. So when we do these kinds of videos, it is to maybe introduce you to a new plant that you're not familiar with, or to give you an idea and you think, oh yeah, well I have a container so that I always put my summer stuff in, but let's just put a shrub and some perennials in there to give us some fun, different kind of interest throughout the winter, because we want our gardens to have 4 seasons of interest, right? And so that's why we do these kinds of videos, is just to kind of educate you, to inspire you, to give you some ideas, and to, you know, maybe you've never thought of doing something like this. I don't know. Or maybe you never heard of Florida sunshine. So lots of options out here for you. Now, what we're going to do is head up to the sign bed, because I cannot wait to introduce you and show you how the new Paisley Pup dog hobble is going to work in this sign bed. It's going to be gorgeous. All right, my friends, so here we are up at the sign bed. This is the entrance bed, and that we've been in here many times before, but y'all, this poor little rhododendron, this is either the second or the third rhododendron that we have put in this particular spot, and it does not like this spot at all. Now, yes, it's not the exact same one. I've killed multiples of them. I heard I can't remember now who it was, but it was a pretty famous plantsman, and he said, you know, I don't give up on a plant until I've killed it at least 3 or 4 times. times. And so that is going to be the situation for this rhododendron that is right here. Now I have one just 20 feet away from me and it loves life. This one, not so much in this spot. So what we are going to do, we are going to replace it with a gorgeous, practice my Vanna white here, a gorgeous paisley pup. Paisley pup is a brand new from our friends at Proven Winners. This is a gorgeous evergreen shrub that has just a kaleidoscope of colors on it and is absolutely stunning. It is definitely going to be for your more of your shade, filtered sun garden. This is not going to be a full sun plant. Your paisley pup is hardy in zones 5 to 8, and it is going to be 3 to 4 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide at maturity. We have plenty of room for it to fill in right there. And so I am super excited about switching out the poor little rhododendron and putting in that paisley pup. Now, paisley pup is an evergreen, so that means I am going to have color year round. I'm not really going to get any flowers off of it, but with that color, I do not care. I love just those beautiful different kinds of the creams and the greens and the pinks. Absolutely stunning. And this is a native shrub, so yay for that. And it, well, you know what it does actually do, it says on the tag, see, I'm just so enamored with the colors on it, with the foliage. It says fragrant flowers in spring through early summer. So that for me is an absolute bonus. So what I'm going to do is, this is about the only time you're going to see Jenny use a shovel in her garden these days, is I've got my shovel. So I am going to pop out the rhododendron, and y'all, it is just sad. Like, it's got it has lost a ton of leaves. It is, the leaves that it does have is just droopy. They're yellow, they're spotted. And so yeah, it's just time to give it up for that one. But I have got my Power Planter auger. So exciting. If you haven't heard the news yet, let me tell you about it. In just a few short weeks, we are going to be launching more of the Jenny's Edition auger from our friends at Power Planter. Of course, if you've watched us for any length of time, you know that we have a great relationship with Greg and the folks at Power Planter. And so we already have, right, the Jenny's Edition, that 5-inch. Now we're coming out with a 7 and a 9. It will be available in just a couple of short weeks. So if you sign up for our emails, you will be the first to know when it hits the market. These are great, a gift for yourself, for the gardener in your life, for anybody that wants to work smarter and not harder. Now, the fun thing is that the limited editions are pink. So we offer the pink in November, because that's my birthday month, and then in May for Mother's Day. It will be available in the pink for those 2 months, and then lime green for the rest of the season. So you can get pink or green. It doesn't matter in November and May, and then the rest of the year it would be available in lime green. But what makes these so amazing is that, and different than other augers, is that this little guy right here, there's a couple of pieces on here that make this different. This is the heavy duty tip, and you can probably see that I have soil all over here because I've been using it. I have thick red clay soil. If you have clay soil, if you have rocky soil, if you have soil that has roots in it, compacted soil, you need a heavy duty tip, right? This is replaceable because, especially in my soil, and as much as I use these augers, this wears down, right? So I can replace this for a couple of bucks. It does not cost a ton of money. I mean, I think it's like, I don't know, it's less than $20 to replace just the tip. So you can replace the tip, and it also has the blades. So these two replaceable blades on it, this is what cuts through the compact clay soil with the rocks and the roots. Again, completely replaceable. You don't have to worry about replacing the whole entire auger. You can just replace these two pieces. Of course, Power Planter is 100% an American family-owned company, 3rd generation. All of this comes from the United States. This is U.S. steel. It is made in Illinois. So you are talking about supporting a American company, small business with 100% made in America. So the 7 and the 9-inch, like I said, will be available in just a few short weeks. Order early. That way, if it's a Christmas gift, we can get it out to you in plenty of time for the holiday season. But what we're going to do, dig her up, Plant in Paisley Pup. Okay, my friends, so that was about the easiest planting I think I've ever done. Paisley Pup is in the ground, so now we just have to sit back and let her roots grow and get nice and strong over the wintertime. That's why fall is the perfect time to plant your trees, your shrubs in the south, because the soil is still warm. The temperatures outside are getting a little cooler, so it's not as stressful for the plants. We're getting a little bit more consistent rain all winter long. Those roots can be getting nice and strong and healthy. That way when the summer heat hits, it'll have a really strong system and that it can handle the heat. Give you a quick little overview of the bed because we have not been here in quite a while. Of course, Paisley Pup is right here. Now, right now, if you were to look at it from this angle, you know, it looks like she disappears. That is because, of course, these Rocapuco impatiens are nice and big. I mean, my gosh, into the season, they're huge. But y'all, love these. We've been into the nights in the 30s, and these are still, now they're not in their prime by any means, but they are holding their own really well. Just keep in mind, y'all, Paisley Pup will get 3 to 4 feet tall, 4 to 5 wide. So it's really going to fill in this area with where the hostas are. I've got like a little petite macrophylla hydrangea right here. And then of course, these are annuals. So as the shrub grows, we will do less annuals in this space. It is the end of October, so let's just go through this bed really quickly. One shrub tree that I've been really happy with and how it is growing is this Golden Shadows Pagoda Dogwood. It is from our friends at Proven Winners and Spring Meadow Nursery. This is a really cool dogwood because it has more horizontal branching. So if you can see those branches coming out, it is not like it's stretching or that it's not getting enough sun. This is exactly what it's supposed to do. It has those horizontal branches to it. In the prime, you can see a little bit where it has the coloration. So it'll have the green, the cream, and the pink. Of course, it is starting to go dormant, so it's losing its leaves. But anyway, Golden Shadows right here on the corner, doing really well. Very happy with it. I'm gonna wait until probably the freeze comes and gets the rest of my annuals, like zaps my annuals, freezes back the foliage on my hostas and my perennials, and I'm waiting for all of these leaves to fall. So these are, the vast majority right here are oak trees. And you can still see they're still pretty green, but when those start to fall, my gosh, it is a thick, thick carpet. So there's not a whole lot of point for me to come in here and do a lot of cleanup right now. If you're new to gardening and you're not familiar with, you know, you're just still learning your plants, don't be freaked out whatsoever if your hostas start to look like this. This is what is happening in all of your hostas, right? Temperatures cool down, they start to go dormant. This looks terrible. If you didn't know any better, you would say, oh my gosh, my plant is dying. No sugar, what it's doing is it's starting to go dormant. First freeze comes, all of that foliage is going to get fried. It is going to melt. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wait until it gets fried or it melts, or if this just drives you crazy just like that, you could go ahead and cut it back. That perennial, the root system is what we're after. It can handle our cold temperatures, not a problem whatsoever. Come spring, it will come back bigger and better than ever. So don't freak out if your hostas start to look like that. Going on over, let's see, some of the new things that we had planted this spring. Mimi and I were in this bed that are doing really well. So we've got over here, an Akuba. So this is a gold dust Akuba doing really nicely, right? A beautiful evergreen, huge, thick, waxy leaves on it. Just a great, great plant. This will get nice and big. Your old mature acubas, I mean, they can be, I don't know, 6, 8 feet tall and wide. So just imagine that it fills in this whole corner right there. So gold dust is doing quite well. The Loropetalums, they're hanging in there. This is the Everillo. Remember me talking about the Everillo, that we could have used Everillo in the water trough? Where here is Everillo in the landscape. Beautiful evergreen carex. Love this one so much. And then we have a Fatsia. Mimi and I planted this Fatsia this spring, and it is, y'all, it loves it right here. It is doing so well. Doing really, really well. Now, if you don't like spiders, fast forward 30 seconds. And then, but those of you that think nature is really cool, I don't know that this camera will pick it up. I was able to get a pretty good picture with my phone, and I don't want to mess her up, but it's really hard to see. But right here, y'all, there is the coolest spider. I haven't had time to look it up, but it very much reminds me of a writing spider, but she's got this pink blotch on her belly. Very cool. I texted Cece because Cece is our resident insect nature lover. She just loves all these guys, and rightly so. But I texted her and I was like, look how pretty. But I said, I'm so glad that I saw her, and or that it is, the plants are right here, because her web starts here on the Japanese maple, attaches to the Fatsia and the sign. But if I had run into her, oh my gosh, that would not be fun. I'll try. Anyway, she's about, I think, like right there. So we'll just leave her alone. Fatsia doing really, really well. We had to replace an Alice oak leaf hydrangea. Look at Alice, doing great, right? And then we had, I want to say, was this a viburnum? All I remember, y'all, this is terrible. All I remember is that the tag says it smells like gin. So it reminds me of a gin and tonic. So there you go. This is a beautiful, another evergreen pink frost, maybe? Pink frost? Viburnum? I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. It's the end of the day. But the bed overall is looking nice, right? It is that time of year, and that's okay. We just appreciate it. One, I'm telling you, I think this is going to be a huge seller next year. So make sure you mark your garden journal or make a note in your phone, however you keep track of plants. That chartreuse green, y'all. That is the coleus. That is the new coleus from Proven Winners. It will be out next year, spring of 2025. We will have it on the website, available for pre-order sometime this fall. Mini Me chartreuse. It is fantastic. You may look at that and think, oh my gosh, what kind of shrub is that? Oh no, it's not a shrub. It is a coleus. It has been in here all summer long, and that is how tall it is. If you know the other color blaze coleuses, you know they can get massive. The Mini Me, much more petite. I have not pinched it. It does have a couple of little flower heads on it, but overall, I mean, it has done so well. And as our customers, we have a couple of faithful customers that come on quite a regular basis, that every time they come, they're like, Jenny, that coleus. And I'm like, honey, I know, it's fantastic. It is just amazing. So I love that Mini Me chartreuse. It is going to be a great new coleus. You're going to use it in so many applications, whether it's a container, the landscape, you can use it like a shrub. I mean, look at that pop of color. Isn't that glorious? I love it. Okay. I don't know if you can hear the chainsaw. Chainsaw's going. Jerry's cutting up some firewood. We're going to go have a Creekside business meeting around the campfire. We really do have some business that we need to discuss. So we're going to do it around the campfire. Here it is, a beautiful, glorious, lovely Monday in October, and that's the joy of small business, is that you can have a business meeting around a campfire. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to solve the world's problems sitting around the campfire. Y'all have an amazing day. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.